Welcome this morning, guys. Welcome to the Sunday gathering. It is so good to be with you. Thank you for joining this July 5th of 2026. I see all you guys in the chat. I've got a couple topics that you've given me so far, so I'm picking those up along the way. But let me say some good mornings here. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, Patriot. Good morning, Gay Marie, Alvin, Red Raven, Precurious. Good morning, West Winds. Good to see you. I think I'm getting everyone. The Real McCoy, good to see you. I saw looking up for him, Pilgrim. I got your prayer request for your neighbor, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Who else? Who else am I missing? Linda, of course. Linda's here. And Fast and All, good to see you. Little Nana, good morning. Aaron, good morning. Chrissy, good morning. All right, I think that's everybody. If not, then I apologize. Guys, let me play the welcome message for you, and then we will get started. We're going to be reading today, continuing in the Apocalypse of Abraham, starting in verse 12 of the only chapter that it has, and we will go forward from there. So that's going to be great, and then I see some great topics you guys are requesting, starting with Chrissy's from last week. I'm not going to forget that, Chrissy. We're going to do that. So let's do that. Let me get the welcome message done here, and then I'll see you on the other side. Welcome to the Bible Scribe channel. My name is David, and let me briefly introduce the Bible Scribe ministry. I grew up in the Protestant church, but left it in 2019 mainly because of disagreements with some of their doctrines, particularly the doctrine of tithe I find incorrect according to scriptures, and frankly disturbing. I taught in the churches for a long time, but I started this YouTube channel in 2018 as an extension of my ministry in teaching the Bible to people around the world. Today I've produced over 500 videos with research that is focused on the Bible first, ancient writings second, and then a variety of other topics. One of the most important things I do is the Sunday live stream, which is an online church in every sense of the word. It is called the Sunday Gathering. We connect, discuss, and pray for one another on a weekly basis. And we also tackle some of the biggest topics of the day and find out what the scriptures and the other ancient texts say about them. Everyone is invited and welcome to join us on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Central, and 7:30 a.m. Pacific. You can easily use my website at bible-scribe.com to access all of these videos and much more. There are also more than 50 research articles on different topics, from flat earth to early church fathers to holistic cancer treatments and prevention. In addition to the website, I have developed a Bible research application, the Bible Scribe app, to study and research the Bible and more than 50 other ancient writings. This app is available to the public with limited access, but requires a membership for access to all of the writings and the features that it offers. Many people have asked how they can support the work I am doing, and that is done by purchasing a membership on the Bible Scribe app through my Give, Send, Go campaign. It is at givesendgo.com/BibleScribe. For every $10 you pay, you will get a month membership on the Bible Scribe app. It is completely up to you as to whether or not you use this membership, and you can set this up as a monthly payment or as a lump sum, and your membership will be applied or extended accordingly. Payments can also be taken on YouTube through supers, gifts, or memberships to the channel. But please know that I offer all the video content, the website, the Sunday church gathering live streams, free and without expectation of any financial support. There is no tithe required by God according to the Bible, nor do I require any form of tithe or financial support for participation in our live streams or access to all of my videos and website online. So thank you for visiting the Bible Scribe channel and ministry, and may God bless you in your research and your journey to grow closer to Him. All right, good morning, guys. Good to have you. Rick, you asked me. So, yeah, I was going to announce, make sure you guys were aware, if you did not already know, that I released this video this week called Simon and the Sow. Now, that's kind of a play on the words and the people and things included in this video, but it was something I came across just during my studies. You guys know I've been doing those videos. I started kind of doing a series, although I think I've only released the one yet so far, on the old world, right? The old world or not. And I'm going structure by structure, building by building, and I'm going to be analyzing them to see if this was really old world or if we have too much evidence that it was actually created in the new world. And if it had anything supernatural to do with anything whatsoever. But in my research on the Cologne Cathedral in Germany, which is an impressively amazing cathedral, and that one is getting there. I'm getting close to that video being ready. I've ran across this stuff that I put in the Simon and the Sow video, and it's a very anti-Semitic video, as you guys noticed. Those of you who saw it, very anti-Semitic. I'm very bad. I'm a bad boy, bad goy. So I see some of you guys are asking about it or mentioning that. Yeah. Then Rick, you asked if I got a strike. You know, that was the crazy part. I thought when I uploaded that video, I thought there was no freaking way that they're gonna let that go in without something, at least without a disclaimer about, you know, blood libel or something on it. And I just think that it's like unbelievable that right now you can, or I can, somehow I can post that kind of thing. I can't believe it, honestly. So yeah, I can't explain it, Rick. It's a good question. Why didn't I get a strike? Well, and I haven't checked my dashboard this morning, but so far so good. I even was surprised that, because it's a different checking mechanism when you say, I want to monetize this video. And I do monetize all the videos so that they get more traction. But I thought for sure when I set that thing to monetization that it was doing its check. It checked for 16 minutes or something. And I just sat there and watched it while I was doing other things because I thought for sure it was coming back. No, you can't post that or you can't monetize. Nope, straight through. I don't even know how to explain it, guys. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's out there. It is just some things that I think are interesting that most people probably, I didn't know or had not connected the dots on those things. So it's very interesting about the Jews in the past. Terry, you got on here. Good morning to you. I see your topic. So let me grab your topic before we get too far down the road. Okay, so I grabbed that. What else we got? I think that's about it. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a great 4th of July yesterday. I had a good one. We were with the family most of the day and just mostly chilling out because the previous day we had been at the beach, so we were tired, I think. But anyway, so we had a nice day. You know, I stayed up late waiting for Trump's fireworks special because that's the only thing I wanted to see. To be frank with you, that's you know, they had earlier in the day they had the Macy's Day fireworks. That's always full of, you know, Illuminati chosen musicians and garbage and propaganda. They'll put, you know, like LGBTQ people in front of the screen and in front of the cameras, and they'll always, you know, diversify everything. I just get so sick of that stuff. Like I couldn't watch any of the mainstream. I just couldn't watch any of them. I couldn't watch any of them. So I waited around. I fell asleep waiting for, you know, the mayor of New York City was the one that I understand forcing Trump to wait to do his fireworks show. And because of, quote, inclement weather, which I watched all day. I kept checking throughout the day. There was only mist. There was some little misty pitter-pat at one point in the day, and there was some wind. I will admit, at one point there was some wind, but it quickly went away. And then they waited until it had to be almost 11 p.m. Eastern, I think, is about when they started. It may have been a little later because I was asleep, and I think I woke up around 10:45 and just checked my phone, and I saw it was on. So that would have been 11:45 Eastern. So all that said, I just could not believe that they tried to do that and push that thing off until, essentially try to make it stop. So that was very frustrating. But it did not disappoint. They had a lot of veterans on stage, and they had these old flags, like from different points in our history of our country. Very cool. And the fireworks literally did look like they were catching the sky on fire. There were so many. I think the total was 850,000 munitions were shot off. It was unbelievable. But anyway, that was what I did for the 4th. I hope you guys had a good day, and were at least with some people you care about. Linda, you asked why pigs, and I guess you're asking the question about the Jews. Why are they so against eating pigs? I mean, some of that could be obviously what the Epistle of Barnabas told us this last week in our reading. Do you remember? So it was talking about animals in chapter 10 of the Epistle of Barnabas. And it was saying that the original commands from Moses had been given because pigs are in nature, in their behavior, they go, let's do this as the first topic, and then we'll do our Bible reading and stuff, because I'm just rattling on here. Let me change the topic real quick. Why pigs? So this is the topic before the topics. So as I was saying in the Epistle of Barnabas last week, we read chapter 10. It says the pig's behavior is that when they are fed and happy, that they love their master, and they're all loving and adoring of the ones that feed them, right? But then when they start getting fat and happy, they start to forget about the ones who got them there, the ones who gave them that comfort, and they don't care anymore. And so that was what the Epistle of Barnabas was saying, is the whole reason that Moses gave the original command was not. Epistle of Barnabas says it very clearly. He says this was not for a dietary restriction that they were necessarily supposed to keep. It was a spiritual connection that they were supposed to understand. A spiritual connection that they weren't supposed to act like these particular unclean animals. And the dietary thing, more or less, was not actually, as a Barnabas put it, not actually a command. It was more that they understood which animals were unclean and why. It was because of their behavior. It was because they mimicked human sinful behavior. And so the Israelites missed the point completely. It said in Barnabas that they should have been circumcised of heart instead of circumcised of flesh. So they knew these things, and that they understood the spiritual implications of things like that particular teaching. But they didn't get it. Even from the beginning, they didn't get it. The other thing that Barnabas said about it was that, if you remember on Tuesday, he said that the Jews immediately rejected the law of God, because when Moses came down off the mountain with the tablets, they were worshiping golden calves. They were worshiping idols and having orgies. And Moses threw the tablets and smashed them. And Barnabas says this was a sign that covenant was never correctly in place with the Jews, with the Israelites. So it's very interesting the way Barnabas puts it. It's a different way, I think, a little more extended understanding than most anything else we get, even from some of the scripture that we read, including the book of Hebrews. Hebrews is really good. It expounds mostly on all this, but yeah, I think it's because then of the misunderstanding of Jews throughout history that this is all physical. Like all of their dietary restrictions are physical. And so they don't get it. It's a big deal. And I just don't know if there's a reason why the pig is such a big one. You know, everyone, when they try to get a rise out of the Jews or whatever, they talk about eating bacon or whatever it is. And I don't know if there's a reason the pig is focused on, but West Wind, you said pig flesh is considered anatomically, compositionally similar to human flesh, which is why pigs are frequently used as stand-ins in forensic science, medical training, organ transplant. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I have heard that as well. That pig flesh, pig meat is most genetically compatible with human meat, flesh, which is, I don't know. To me, that's so odd and creepy. Blue Heron, you said the Lord asked me to stop eating pig a few years back. I can't explain it. I feel wrong when I do it. Weird, because like 15 years ago, I was a vegetarian and it was bacon that brought you back to meat, I assume. So I understand that. And I would say, Great Blue, if you feel strongly that you should do what you feel is right. It may be that God is leading you in a way for a particular health reason that you don't understand. And sometimes even the angels that surround us, I think, talk to us and tell us things and give us feelings, intuition that we would not otherwise have. So I would just say, if you feel that way, don't eat pig meat. Don't eat pork, for sure. Chrissy, you say it's easier just to figure out loopholes and justify your disobedience than have a heart check and obey God. Yeah, that's correct. All right. Well, that's a good little intro. Let's go ahead and we'll move from that. We'll go into our prayer time together. Let's do that real quick. I think that's good on the pigs. Pigs, so gross. Blech. All right. So if you have another prayer request, please go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll pick it up. I got one from Looking Up for Him Pilgrim, who says, an elderly neighbor has been heavily on my prayer mind this morning for salvation. And so let's join her in praying for this neighbor. Thank you, Looking Up for Him. And that sounds like a really great thing to pray for this week. All right. Any other requests you can put in the chat that you would like for us to know about? And I will go ahead and bow my head in prayer this morning for this live session and for you guys as well. Thanks, guys. Lord God, I do thank you this morning for the time that you've given us, the time to do this, the time to be together in mind and spirit, to learn things, to read things, to discuss. Thank you for everyone who is in the chat live with us this morning. I appreciate you so much for bringing us together, giving us the opportunity. Help us to make the most of it. Please uncloud our vision. Help us to understand things. Help the truth to be apparent to us as we look and study and read. And I just thank you, Lord, for everyone in the chat. Thank you for Looking Up for Him Pilgrim and the intent to pray for this neighbor. I pray right now that neighbor will seek you, that people can reach out, that you can do that through many avenues, but perhaps looking up for him, Lord, you can strengthen to go over and speak to this person about this stuff. However you decide to do it, Lord, we do pray that your will be done and this person is aware of who you are and can be made aware of who you are. Please work on their hearts. We give you all the glory and praise for this and everything that is going on this morning. And it's in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, that we pray. Amen. Right. Thank you, guys. All right. Real McCoy, we will pray for your wife. I see that request. Don't want to miss any here. Yes, per curious. Let's pray for Flat Bob. We haven't seen in a while here. Hope he's doing all right. All right. All right. And Tomcat, good morning. It's good to see you there. I saw you post and you took it back. All right. Well, let's get started with our reading then. Let me change our title. We'll get on to reading in the Apocalypse of Abraham. And we will start in verse 12. I don't know how far we'll get, so I have to put the question mark there. But we will start reading today. And let's get going. Let's get this up over here. Apocalypse of Abraham. Again, there's only one large chapter that is in the writing, so it's not broken up. But we are going to go down here and get started in verse 12. Last time we read, I'm trying to remember, if you remember, this entire writing is about the episode where Abraham is approached by God and he is asked to do some sacrifices, and he is asked to bring, he's been asked to bring a heifer and a she-goat and a ram and turtle dove and pigeon, and these are supposed to be very pure sacrifices, and he is supposed to split all the animals except the birds. And if you remember, there is some information given to him more, and this angel Jael here in the text has come to him, the angel that restrains things, the angel that is the restrainer. We talked about how he could possibly be the restrainer for the Antichrist appearing on earth in our near future here. But he restrains Leviathan, he restrains the cherubim around the throne of God, and he says that he's going to use these sacrifices, and angels come and help with the sacrifice, we read. And he says that the birds particularly are going to be used to fly them, Jael and Abraham, through heaven and hell, essentially, through the areas of the spiritual world. So that, I believe, is where we are. In verse 11, we read that he divided the halves, he made the sacrifice, and then that's when he was talking about what they would be doing. They would ascend on the wings of the birds and then see heaven and the underworld and everything else. All right, so that brings us to verse 12. And I did everything according to the command of the angel. And I gave the angels who had come to us the divided animals, but the angel Jael took the birds, and I waited until the evening sacrifice. And there flew an unclean bird down upon the carcasses, and I drove it away. And the unclean bird spoke to me and said, Abraham, what are you doing upon these holy heights, where no man eats or drinks, nor is there any food upon them for man, but these heavenly beings consume everything with fire, and will burn you up. Forsake is the man who is with you, and flee. For if you ascend into the heights, they will make an end of you. So this is interesting. This brings a connection that I want to make real quick before we move on. So if we go over to the Bible, and we talked about this last week. Was it chapter 15? Oh, where was the chapter? Yes, it is chapter 15. I'm glad I didn't mess up. If you remember here in verse 11 of chapter 15, the fowls came down upon the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. So that is what we are reading about now in the Apocalypse of Abraham. But the bird, it says, comes down, an unclean bird, and it speaks to him. So this is obvious that these are demons. Okay, they're not just birds. These are demons. They are, or fallen angels, perhaps. But this particular unclean bird or demon is trying to get Abraham to forsake Jehoel and not go with him. He doesn't want him to see all the secrets and mysteries of heaven. He doesn't want Abraham to understand or to do this sacrifice in the first place. So now you're seeing spiritual warfare play out. And again, this is why I love reading these writings, because in Genesis 15, this is one verse. Fowls came down and Abram drove them away. Well, we're learning a little bit more about that story, aren't we? So let's go on to verse 13. It came to pass when I saw the birds speak, I said to the angel, Jehoel, what is this, my Lord? And he said, this is ungodliness. This is Azazel. So this is Azazel, according to this writing, the fallen angel that was involved in the Genesis 6 infraction, where all the angels came down and then copulated with women and caused all sorts of havoc upon the earth before the flood. So that's the angel that is being talked about. And this is, of course, by the way, after the flood. And Azazel here is still coming down to stop God's plans for Abraham. Very interesting. Something to note. In all of our discussions about Azazel through the book of Enoch and everything else, remember that we have considered the possibility that Azazel is actually Satan himself, the Satan, the devil. So we are not, I'm not positive on that, not 100% convinced, but it is interesting that this is named, he is named here Azazel, this angel or demon, and that he is the one that is fighting against Abraham and Jehoel in this case. He says, Jehoel says, disgrace upon you, Azazel, for Abraham's lot is in heaven, but yours is upon the earth, because you have chosen and loved this for the dwelling place of your uncleanness. Therefore, the eternal mighty Lord made you to be a dweller upon the earth. And through you, every spirit of lies, and through you, wrath and trials for the generations of ungodly men. For God, the eternal mighty one, has not permitted that the bodies of the righteous should be in your hand. Now, realize what's being said here. This is thick, and we're going to come back to some of this. In order that thereby the life of the righteous and the destruction of the unclean may be assured. Hear this, my friend, and be gone with shame from me, for it has not been given to you to play the tempter in regard to all the righteous. Depart from this man. You cannot lead him astray. He is an enemy to you and to those who follow you and love what you desire. For behold, the vesture which is in heaven was formerly yours, has been set aside for him, and the mortality which was his has been transferred to you. Now that, I don't even know how to start. That's so thick and juicy. Let's go back up here. Now this again to me plays into that idea that Azazel is possibly Satan himself, the one called the Satan in the New Testament. Now, because he says Jehoel calls Azazel out and says, you have chosen and loved the earth for your dwelling place, for your uncleanness, and therefore God has made you to be a dweller upon the earth. And then he says, through you, every spirit of lies. Every spirit of lies, that sounds like the devil. And through you, wrath and trials for the generations of ungodly men. Satan brings wrath and trials for ungodly men, for all men. And he says then, for God, the eternal mighty one, has not permitted that the bodies of the righteous, this is a good part, don't miss this. God has determined that the bodies of the righteous will not be in your hand. Satan will not be allowed to take the bodies of the righteous. They are going to be resurrected in the end. He says that thereby the life of the righteous and the destruction of the unclean will be assured. So in the end, God will destroy the unclean, the wicked, and the righteous will be preserved. Our bodies will be taken from the earth and remade and given back to us after death. Hear this, my friend, be gone with shame from me. He says, it has not been given to you to play tempter in regard to the righteous. Do you see that? That is actually a, what would you call it in New Age speak? It is a cosmic rule. It is a astral karmic rule that Satan is not allowed to tempt the righteous if they are truly righteous. He is allowed to tempt those who go off the rails. That is the whole concept of what Satan's power is. It grows with someone the more they go down the road of destruction, the more they engage in self-satisfaction, self-enlargement, gluttony in every sense, not talking about food necessarily, but gluttony in a general sense. But sin and error leads to Satan having more power to influence. And that's how it works, so that the wicked are taken away from God and the righteous are led towards God. And he calls that out here and says, you cannot lead Abraham astray because he is righteous. He is your enemy. So this is all very important. Like in one verse, we have the whole layout of what works and how the whole world works in terms of how Satan can tempt and what the eternal destination is for the righteous and for the wicked. And it's all in one verse. It's just, it's crazy. Then he says the vesture in which in heaven was yours, Joel says to Azazel, the immortality that you had in heaven is now set aside for Abraham and the righteous. And the mortality which Abraham and the righteous have has been transferred to you. Another amazing concept that we need to understand. We will now have the ability as righteous Christians to be immortal with God and Christ. And the immortal angels gave that up because of their wickedness, Satan being the first offender. Azazel here. Again, I'm saying Satan because I think that writings like this make them sound like they're the same being. Let's move on to verse 14. And then Joel, the angel, said to me, know that from henceforth the Eternal One has chosen you, Abraham. Be of good courage, use this authority so far as I bid you, against him who slanders the truth. Should I not be able to put him to shame that has scattered over the earth the secrets of heaven, and has rebelled against the Mighty One? Say to him, become the burning coal of the furnace of the earth. Go, Azazel, into the inaccessible parts of the earth, for your heritage is to be over those who are with you, the ones brought forth with the stars and the clouds, and with the men whose portion you are, even those who exist on account of your being. Justification shall be your enemy. Now depart from me by perdition, by wickedness, by sloth, by uselessness. That is the nature of Azazel. And, Joel here is telling Abraham, this is how you can call out Azazel and send him back to the depths. You have authority, he says. Be of courage, he says. Use this authority as I bid you against Azazel that slanders the truth. Such interesting stuff. So good. Verse 15, and I uttered the words that the angel taught me, and then the angel said to me, answer him not, for God has given him power over those who answer him. And the angel spoke to me again, saying, however much he speaks to you, answer him not, in order that he may have no free access to you, because the Eternal One has given him weight and will in this respect. And I did that which was commanded me by the angel, and no matter how much he spoke to me, I answered him nothing whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, is this not a prescription for how we should deal with the devil's temptation in our lives? We simply ignore him. We go the other direction. We don't answer. Joel here tells Abraham, if you answer, if you discuss with evil, if you interchange, have a conversation with the devil, you're already slipping down the path. He says, simply answer him not, and then use the words, command him to go back to the underworld where he belongs. Seems to be the prescription not only for Abraham, but perhaps for us as well. Verse 16, and it came to pass when the sun went down, behold, there was the smoke as of a furnace. Now, before we move on, I want to mention all those verses we just read, 12 through 15, all of that was in Genesis 15, verse 11. When the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. The fowls here is Azazel. It is Satan. Now, you would have never known this by reading only the Bible. And if you think that, well, we're silly to read the apocalypse of Abraham and try to integrate that into our understanding, we're silly to do that because it's not an approved biblical writing, right? Well, then how do you explain this? What does this mean? Do you just think he had some meat laying out, and so when their birds came by, Abraham drove them away and the birds stayed away? No. This was a war between Abraham and Joel and Azazel himself. Verse 16. And it came to pass when the sun went down, behold, there was the smoke as of a furnace. And the angels who had the portions of the sacrifice ascended from the top of the smoking furnace. And the angel took me with his right hand and set me upon the right wing of the pigeon, set himself on the left wing of the turtle dove, neither of which birds had been slaughtered. They were alive. The turtle dove and the pigeon were alive. And they sat on the wings of these birds. Now this is getting into supernatural world, right? Supernatural events happening. But it says, he bore me to the borders of the flaming fire, and we ascended upon many winds to the heavens which were above the firmament. So what do you think the smoking furnace that appeared was? Well, it was actually an opening to hell itself. It was an opening to the fires of the underworld, the smoking furnace. This was not just Abraham had built a fire. We are now in a supernatural event where Abraham and Joel are taking a trip, a journey. And Joel has been commissioned by Christ to tell Abraham all about heaven and what the inheritance of his people will be. He says, I saw in the air on the heights to which we ascended a strong light impossible to describe. And within the light, a fiercely burning fire of my people, many people, just people, not my people. Many people of male appearance, constantly changing in aspect and form, running and being transformed, and worshiping and crying with sounds of words that I cannot recognize. So these people of male appearance, but constantly changing in aspect and form. Your guess is as good as mine on that. Running and being transformed, worshiping and crying with words I could not recognize. And I said to the angel, why have you now brought me here? Because my eyes cannot see distinctly. I am growing weak, and my spirit is departing from me. And Joel said, remain close by me and do not fear, for the one whom you cannot see is now coming towards us with a great voice of holiness, even the eternal one who loves you. But you yourself cannot see him, but you must not allow your spirit to grow faint on account of the choirs of those who cry out, for I am with you to strengthen you. So it sounds like that God the Father is coming near. And it is so intense in every way that Abraham can't function. He can't see right. He can't make things out. He is weak, like he's going to die. Joel says, I'm here to strengthen you. Stay strong. Verse 18, while he was thus speaking, fire came all about us, and there was a voice within the fire like the sound of many waters. The sound of many waters is the description given to God's voice, the Father's voice, in many of these ancient writings. So that's a very common description of the voice of God, a sound like many waters. like the sound of the sea in violent motion. And I desired to fall down there and worship, and I saw that the angel who was with me bowed his head and worshipped. But the surface of the high place where I seemed to be standing changed its inclination, constantly rolling as the great waves on the surface of the sea. I have to wonder, is all of this perturbation, the movement, the fact that Abraham can't focus on anything, see anything, is that simply because the power of God, the glory of God is so great that when he is close, it affects everything, even heaven? I think that that's really what we're kind of reading here. Verse 19, the angel said, "Worship Abraham and utter the song which I shall now teach you. Utter it without ceasing, that is, without pause, in one continuous strain from beginning to end." He's teaching Abraham the songs of heaven. And the song which he taught me to sing had words appropriate to that sphere in which we stood. For each sphere in heaven has its own song of praise, and only those who dwell there know how to utter it. And those upon earth cannot know or utter it except they be taught by the messengers of heaven. And the words of that song were of this important signification: Eternal, mighty, holy El, God only supreme, you who are self-originated, beginningless one, incorruptible, spotless, uncreated, immaculate, immortal, self-complete, self-illuminating, without father, without mother, unbegotten. Now just pause right there and compare that to what Jesus said about himself. Jesus said of himself that he was begotten of the Father. But the Father is unbegotten. We need to make the distinction and understand who is who around here. Exalted, fiery one, lover of men, benevolent one, bountiful one, jealous over me and very compassionate. Eli, my God. Eli means you've answered, my God. Eternal, Jehovah Zebaoth, very glorious El Jael. You are the one whom my soul has loved. Eternal protector, shining like fire, whose voice is like the thunder, whose look is like the lightning. You are the all-seeing one who receives the prayers of all such as honor you and turn away the requests of those who embarrass you with their provocations, who dissolves the confusions of the world, which arise from the ungodly and the righteous mixed up in the confusion of the corruptible age. The corruptible age, by the way, being the age of those times, but, there's names for the ages. And the age before the flood was the age of wickedness. And so this corruptible age supposedly may be the age in which Abraham sits. And he says, renewing the age of righteousness. So perhaps, I don't even know, maybe this is talking about different ages of the earth to come. But just an amazing little section here. It's just glorifying God the Father. Shine, O Lord, shine as light, even that light which you clothe yourself on the first day of creation. Shine as the light of the morning on your creatures. Let it be day upon earth, for in these heavenly dwelling places there is no need of any light than the unspeakable splendor from the light of your countenance. O answer my prayer, O be well pleased with it, O accept my sacrifice which you have prepared for me to offer. Accept me favorably and show me, teach me all that you have promised. So a couple of things I'll mention, all other than that is an amazing section of glorification of God. If this is how the angels sing in heaven, the people in heaven sing, that's going to be some kind of amazing thing that we get to experience someday. And it mentioned up here, I want to just say it because it's such a trope in our current society, the section here that says that you are the all-seeing one. This is actually something that is ascribed to God in some of the ancient writings. This is not a Gnostic writing, just in case some of you might have been wondering. This is not Gnostic, but this is a common thing that is ascribed to God, that he sees all. Okay, it's not the eye of Horus, as modern satanic imagery, of course, uses as their symbol. This is a description of the fact, the all-out fact that God can see everything. And then there's down here the, where did it talk about the spheres in heaven, each sphere in heaven? I don't think we should get caught up on the word sphere, because in the ancient languages like Greek, the word here is simply a round surface that's like a round. I mean, so when we understand the firmament, it could be the same type of thing. And in fact, in this writing and in the Apocalypse of, is it Elijah? It's the same type of description sometimes, but there it says the firmaments of heaven, each firmament of heaven, each level of heaven. So I don't think you should get caught up on the word sphere here either. I don't think it's like you should think, oh, well, is he saying it's a globe like the earth? Don't get wound around the axle. This is not a technical document about the shape of the earth. He's saying each level, each area of heaven, they compound one upon the other. Each one has its own song of praise, is all he's trying to tell you. So don't want anyone to get wrapped up in those two things and off track here. Verse 20, and while I, Abraham, was still reciting this song, the mouth of the fire that was on the surface rose up on high. And I heard a voice like the roaring of the sea, nor did it cease on account of the rich abundance of the fire. As the fire raised itself up, ascending into the heights, I saw under the fire a throne of fire. So the visibility of God was seen on the throne. The throne was also of fire. And round about it the watchfulness of many eyes, even the all-seeing ones, reciting their song. This would be the Ophanim that are talked about in the book of Ezekiel, the wheels within the wheels, the eyes all around, the all-seeing ones. And under the throne, 4 fiery living ones. These are the 4 beasts around the throne of God. Again, the same description we get in all the writings, which should tell us that it's the correct description of the throne of God. And their appearance was one, and each had 4 faces, and such was the appearance of their countenance. Each had the face of a lion, a man, an ox, and an eagle. Because of their 4 heads upon their bodies, they had 16 faces. Each one had 3 pairs of wings from their shoulders, from their sides, and from their loins. And with the wings from the shoulders, they covered their faces, and the wings from their loins, they covered their feet. The 2 middle wings were spread out for flying straight forward. This is the same exact description you will get in the book of Ezekiel, by the way, if you want to go read that later. Verse 21, and it came to pass that when they had ended their singing, they looked at one another and threatened one another. Now, do you remember that Joel is the restrainer, the one who keeps the cherubim, which are these beings that were just described? They have 4 faces, they have 6 wings each. These are the cherubim, but when they looked at one another, they threatened one another. Now, verse 22, it came to pass when the angel who was with me saw they were threatening each other, he left me and went running to them, and turned the countenance of each away from them immediately, in order they might not look upon each other. And he began to teach them the song of peace that has its origin in the Eternal One. So this is the job of Joel, one of the jobs. He is the restrainer. He keeps the cherubim at the throne of God from literally collapsing in on themselves and fighting. And so that is what is happening in this. He leaves Abraham's side to go stop the angels from looking at one another so they would not threaten one another. All right, we've gone 10 verses. Let's see. I think we will pause here for the day. So we went through from verse 12 to verse 22, and I think that right there we can pause. And I think that'll give us some good stuff for next week. That's some of the most interesting reading you will do. And so we got to verse 21 there today. Thank you guys for being with me for that reading and sticking with me. You guys are talking about some stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. Chrissy, you say, doesn't Revelation say that there's a song that was sung in heaven that men didn't know, and that seems to be a familiar passage? Yes, there is that. I don't know the verse. Maybe I could search real quick. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see if it shows up. Is that in the Bible, Chrissy, or we read that in another writing? I can't remember now. I can't remember now. See if I'm doing this right. Just doing a quick search to see if I can find it. Yeah, I don't see it, and I just probably can't find it. I can't remember if that's in the Bible, but you're right. That is said, that there is a song in heaven, and that men don't understand it and can't utter the words. Like, we can't even speak it. And I don't remember where that comes from, but you're right. What else did you guys say? Ellen, you said that Satan sounds more gross as we read this study and study this. Thank you for reading it. You're welcome, Ellen. Absolutely. You said, be patient, but does this have anything to do with perhaps Satan wanting Moses' body? Ellen, that's a good question. I think we talked about this question at some length before, and I tried to find out more. I did a little extra research to see why it was that Daniel says that Satan, and Michael was arguing with Satan over Moses' body. And I tried to find any reference to that in other writings. Apparently there is no known reference to that other than in that one place in the Bible. And so it's something I can't give you any more information on. I really can't. I have looked, just so you know. I wish I understood more what that is about. But maybe you're keying in on what it said in that passage we just read about that Joel tells Azazel, you will not be able to get the bodies of the righteous, right? You will not be able to do that, and that's what has changed. The righteous will be taken to heaven, taken with God. So maybe that is part of it. Maybe there was some altercation between Michael and Satan over the body, particularly of Moses, where Satan didn't want to go abide by God's rule and his intentions, and then Michael was sent to stop him from doing whatever he was doing. I mean, that might actually be the best connection that I've got on it, Ellen, and you may have kind of helped us find that. So I appreciate that comment. Thank you. Thank you, Ellen. Right, let's see. Reality Witness, that is interesting. You said that Tyler Hanson's dad was the guy that filmed the Rodney King beating video. Oh my gosh. You say he's a huge psyop from the 90s and his family are in the club. Yeah, interesting. Really good information. Thank you, Reality Witness. Appreciate that. Chrissy, you said Revelation 14:3 is the one that talks about the song. Okay. Great. Let's read it real quick. Revelation 14:3. Yeah, okay. And that was the song around the throne of God. A voice from heaven, the voice of many waters, just as we read. I should cross-reference those to that verse. And they sung as if it were a new song before the throne, before the four beasts, the elders. No man could learn that song, but the 444,000. Oh, I have it on my screen. I'm not showing it. They sung it as it were a new song before the throne, before the four beasts and the elders. No man could learn the song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. So this is a special song, though, Chrissy. I need to caveat this with it. This is a different song than what I believe we were seeing in the Apocalypse of Abraham, because this is sung by the 144,000 Israelite Jews who literally were the remnants of Israel on earth that came to God in the end. The 144,000, the 12,000 from every tribe, right? And so apparently they were given a special song to sing before the throne. And it says here, no man could learn that song except the 144,000. So that would be different, I guess, Chrissy. I guess it would be different than the song we were just reading about, that Joel was and Abraham were hearing in heaven from the numerous hosts of heaven. Now those would have been, by the way, those men that were all male in appearance, but then when Abraham was looking at them, it was hard to see them. It was hard to make them out, and they were changing in aspect. Well, those were angels. They weren't men. They weren't humans. There were no humans in heaven at that time except for Enoch, right? The scribe of heaven. He was taken especially at that time. And then later on, Elijah would have been taken. But that was before Christ came, so the dead did not go to heaven. They were in Hades, awaiting, in the, quote, better part of Hades, awaiting the coming of the Redeemer to redeem them out of Hades. So those beings we just read about were angels, and they were on the highest level of heaven according to what we were reading, or close to it, where God himself was. And they were singing this song, and it was amazing. I wish I could have been there. KM Shank, it's good to have you back. Good to see you. You said you've been going to Real Church. Well, that's good. Go to Real Church. You know, I've told you guys that we moved recently, and in our new location, I have told my family, like, if you guys, because I do this on Sunday mornings, if you guys want to go to a church and find one, and then you find one you really like, then I will start going with you guys. And if that happens, just so you all know, because I will do that for my family, then we will shift the time for this, and it will be different. Just be aware. I don't have any current plans, but if my family does find a church they want to go to together, then I'm going to do that with them. And then I will come do this in the afternoons, probably, for Sundays. But thank you, Ellen, so much for the duckling. I appreciate it, the gift. That's so nice of you. Thank you so much. All right. Well, let's see. We have got a couple other topics now to get into, now that we have done our reading. So let me change this for the time being. And let's see what our topics are today. Let's do this. Oops. This is Chrissy's topic. Now I'm finally to it. Finally got to it, Chrissy. See if I can get everything set. There we go. I didn't get it all. What's wrong? Come on now. I'm gonna have to make it smaller. Does that fit? Does that fit? I gotta. All right, that fits. All right, so let's do this topic. Two souls teaching of the Tanya or Tanakh versus only one soul for the Goyim. So is that the teaching, Chrissy? I did not have a chance to do any further looking during the week, but I will look right now. Let's open this up. Let's do this. I'm tempted to say this. let's do a search here. The soul and the afterlife on Chabad.org. Let's see if this talks about it. Yes, okay, here we go. The soul and the afterlife. This is Chabad.org. This is totally Jewish. I mean, modern Jewish. So just so you're aware, I'm not making stuff up. And this is what they believe. Rabbi Schneur Salman says in the Tanya, the fundamental text of Chabad Hasidic philosophy, written by this rabbi in the 18th century, 1700s, they explain that every Jew is composite of two distinct souls. The first soul is the nefesh ha-behamit, which animates the body. Now, the nefesh is literally in Hebrew, breath of God, the breath. And so this is the breathing in of the soul that God does. And that part is true. I'm not saying this view is true by Jews, but I'm saying that is the understanding from ancient times, that God's breath is what makes souls and spirits. So the nefesh is that, okay? It's God's breath. It animates the body, and then according to this Jewish rabbi, the soul is complete with an infrastructure of soul powers ranging from pleasure to will to intellect and emotions. Common to all the soul powers of the nefesh habamit is that they all wish to fulfill base needs, passions, and desires of the body. Essentially, the nefesh is self-centered. For them, the nefesh behamit. I can't say these dumb Jewish words. From it stems the negative character traits like anger, apathy, and arrogance. The second soul is also nefesh elokit, and it's described by Job as part of God and exists both before its descent into the body and after its ascent from the body. So this nefesh elokit would be the more spirit part. You know, this is where some people try to differentiate, by the way, between soul and spirit. The soul being more of the connective tissue between the spirit and the flesh, and the spirit being the actual spiritual being entity that you are if you were out of your body. So I'm just saying this seems to correlate somewhat to that idea, but this is a modern Jewish idea. So I'm again not saying I agree with any of this, but I'm just trying to show it to you because I want to be able to answer Chrissy's question here. So the nefesh ha-behamit is the negative aspect of the soul, or the negative soul, the mean one, the self-centered one. And the nefesh elokit is the more spiritual aspect of the soul, or spiritual soul. And it exists both before its descent into the body and after the body is gone. The nefesh elokit in itself is not in need of rectification. Its descent into the world is to refine the base animalistic nature of the material world. So apparently, according to the Jews, the nefesh elokit, their higher spirit, is not corruptible. It's incorruptible. It can't have any problems with it. Can't be wrong. It says here, before the descent into the world, nefesh elokit is taken on a heavenly tour, so they say. It's shown the various departments in the Garden of Eden, and it is shown hell, or Gehenna, made clear that the soul that it is embarking on a perilous journey full of distractions and enticement. The soul is made to take an oath to remain righteous, and even if persuaded by those that she is perfect, she would deem herself in need of improvement. The soul is provided with all spiritual sustenance that it will require on its journey, and satiated with spiritual energy required to transform the nefesh hebachamit and its portion in the world. I just have to say right now, this sounds very Kabbalistic in nature. That this super higher soul spirit of theirs is imbued with power and spiritual energy to transform the world. This sounds it reminds me of Kabbalistic teaching and the Sephirot, and the reason that you go through the Sephirot and that practice, the mystical Jewish Pharisaical practices. That's what it sounds like to me. All right, it continues to talk about this higher spirit self, the Nefesh Elokit. It is focused on the divine, not the self. The two souls live locked together for their lifespan, both trying to gain control of your thinking mind. So there's this, according to them, apparently there's a war back and forth between the Nefesh Hebachamit and the Nefesh Elokit, and they're fighting. It's the good and bad. It's the devil on this shoulder and the angel on this shoulder, and they're fighting all the time, and you have to decide which one you want to feed, right? That's the idea here. Every mitzvah that a person does creates a defending angel, and every misdeed creates an accusing angel. Oh gosh, this is so Kabbalistic. It's so mystical and stupid. These angels come and bear witness on a person, and every thought, speech, and action of the lifetime is reviewed and taken into account. The Talmud lists the questions that a person will be asked on their arrival at the heavenly court. This includes, were your business dealings faithful? Were your business dealings faithful? I have to do a 360. The Jews think that they have a spirit in them that will have to answer the question, were your business dealings faithful? That's the funniest thing I've heard all day. Oh my gosh. You gotta be kidding me. The Jews believe this? The Jews believe this and then tell the Goyim that we're stupid? The Jews are deluded. Oh my gosh. It also would ask at the end of life, the Nefesh will be asked, did you set fixed times for your Torah study? Did you engage in procreation? Oh, so that's definitely important. You must procreate as much as possible. Please don't follow this part, any of you Chabad Jews out there. If the soul requires cleansing of any misdeeds, the soul is sent to Gehenna, which is heavenly purification depot. A heavenly purification depot. The works of Musar describe Gehenna as a horrific place where excruciating punishments are meted out to the sinner based on the nature of the sin. All right. What next? What next? If a person sinned with heated passion, they are placed in fire in Gehenna, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Souls in Gehenna are given relief, while those in the world of Yetzirah are allowed in the Amud, the pillar that connects the two worlds, the Yetzirah and Beria. After purification of Gehenna, the soul enters the world to come, the Garden of Eden. See, they believe if you go into hell, then you can come right back out after you get punished enough, and then you go to the Garden of Eden. I mean, this is nonsense. It's making me mad, Chrissy. It's making me mad. But I'm sure that's why you wanted to talk about it. Y'all didn't have to mention mud flood to get me riled up. You didn't have to. All right. Talmud speaks of heavenly academies where souls learn the Torah. I'm sorry, I just have to laugh. It gets really ridiculous at some point. I mean, it really does. All right, so the righteous go to heaven according to the Torah, and they teach everybody else the Torah. According to the Jews, and then they teach everyone the Torah in heaven. What else here? Oh, there's the 5 levels of souls and worlds. It is the Kabbalah. See, it's the Ein Sof and the Beria, Yetzirah. Oh my goodness. So it is a direct correlation to Kabbalistic beliefs, and that's what this is all about. The Talmud is Kabbalistic in nature, and the Kabbalah is Gnostic in nature. So it's all rooted from Satan himself through I mean, I hate to be a broken record, but Simon Magus, the early Christians called him the father of Gnosticism, and the Talmud and the Kabbalah came straight out of Gnosticism, and it mixed it all up with the Judaic belief system. It's sick. It's just sick. Red Raven, you say, I'm so glad that all God requires of me is to confess my sins and believe on his resurrection for eternal life. Yeah, stay on that road. Don't worry about both of your souls and all, making sure you get through all the worlds of the Ein Sof and the Sephiroth. It seems like a lot of work, doesn't it? I think it is a lot of work. But they think that that's the way that they can separate themselves from the riffraff of the world, the Goyim, right? So they think that that stuff helps them become separate and special somehow. But it's not. They miss the point. They miss the point that even the apocalypse of Abraham was telling Abraham that your progeny, your inheritance for the generations that come after you will be through your faith, because of your faith, Abraham. And it, of course, reinforces that the Jews never kept the law, ever. They rejected it immediately as soon as it came down off the mountain. All right, so the only problem here is that I haven't yet, Chrissy, seen anything about what about the souls of the Goyim? What about the Goyim? Yep, I don't see anything here mentioned about that. Let's see if Grok is educated on this topic. Let's see if Grok will give us an answer on this. I just read the Tanya about how Jews think they have two souls. This was the link. I'm going to give it the link, let it think about it too. This is how you get AI to do things for you. You train it a little bit. What about non-Jews? Non-Jews. Let's see what they think about us, goy. Teachings from Tanya chapter 1. Let's see what it says. Every Jew has two souls or life forces, nefeshot, neferosh, nefesh. Non-Jews or the nations have only one soul, the animal, the natural soul, which emanates from the impure kelipot or husks or shells that contain no good whatsoever. This is you and me, guys. This is you. You are an animal only. You don't have the nefesh, breath of God in you. You only have the animalistic part. Positive actions of kindness and charity of the non-Jews are described as ultimately self-serving or through ulterior motives, citing Talmudic and Zoharic Kabbalistic sources like the kindness of the nations is sin, quote unquote. So no matter what you do, it is failure. No matter what any non-Jew does, it is sinful. It is animalistic. Because only the Jews who cut chickens' heads off and dance around in New York streets with blood dribbling down their faces, only those guys are the fully true spiritual. Only the ones who dig tunnels underground and have rituals with children underground, they're the ones. They're the ones that are higher spiritual selves. They're the ones that understand. But you don't get it. Neither you nor I. We're no good. We could do everything in the world we wanted to try to be good, but it is still animal and is sinful. That is what they believe. That is what they believe 100%. Every single Jew who ever is taught by Jews believes this, that you are really an animal. Now, when they make friends with some of us, some non-Jews, they talk with us. They It is pandering. They are. It is a gesture to those kind animals. They're like our pets. They will do what we want if we train them. It's not. You're not really friends. They're not really your friend. It's a lie. And until I meet a Jew who rejects what we're talking about here, I probably won't ever trust that person. Never in my whole life. Ever. I will never trust a Jew who does not openly reject the Talmud and openly reject this type of thing. That's just how it is. That's how it's going to be. And we need to all take that approach. Our entire country needs to take that approach. Because it's the same as with Satanists. I will never trust a Satanist because, for the simple reason that lies and deceit is a major part of their belief system. That it is based on lies. And that anyone outside of their belief system is worth lying to. It is part of their belief that they should lie to those who are not of them, so that, because they are the chosen ones. Muslims, Islam is the same way. Just so you know, that's why these religions, I think they should be banned in America. Ban all those religions. Ban them. Because they're based on deceit and lies. How do you deal with someone whose religion tells them they should lie to everyone else? Christianity stands alone, I guess, saying no, you should act in truth. You should act in goodness and good faith. I just don't understand. I don't understand how that the world has gotten to this place. It is exactly what the Bible talks about. They exchange truth for lies to a point and a level that nobody could have ever imagined, right? They exchange the truth for a lie. It's because their entire belief system is based on that they can lie to do anything they want to any of us that they want to. It is sick and twisted and sad. And I hope that we can somehow, in the future, near future here, that they end up corralled in their little segment of the Middle East and that they just fume over there. But we never touch them again because they are full of lies and deceit in their little, crappy little plot of desert land. I don't care whether at one time God called it the promised land for you. That was actually a spiritual statement. And you never got it. None of you Israelites or Jews. You never got it. Or Khazarians, whoever you are. You never got it. So you can just stay in your little plot of stinky, twisted, rattlesnake bit desert, and you can stay over there and stew in your disobedience to God, your faithlessness, and your sick belief systems that twist everything. Sick. It's sick. You are sick in the head. And I hope I get banned today. I hope they shut the stream down. I don't even care. I'm sick of it. We should all be sick of it. And I blame Chrissy. I blame you, Chrissy, because you made me talk about this. Well, Karen, of course their plan is to take over the world. Do we even have to ask that? Of course it is, because they think everyone else is animals. They think it's their God-given right to take over the world. They've always thought that. So why are we surprised, right? Why are we surprised? This is their teaching for thousands, well, I guess for over 1,000 years. This has been their main teaching. Over 1,000 years. The Talmud has been around that long. So why are we surprised? I don't know. No, I know, Karen. It's not a question. I'm just saying it's like we should understand that that's built into their nature. Their nature is that they're already rulers of the world in their minds. They think that. They think they're already ruling. They think they can also lie and trick and deceive to do anything they want to do because the rest of us are just animals. You can lie to a cow in the field. Nobody cares if you lie to a cow or a horse or a pig. But that's the way they view it. So their whole worldview is antithetical to any Christian or conservative philosophy, any moral, ethical philosophy. It's antithetical to functioning society. It is absolutely antithetical. So it's just like, to me, it's just like Satanism. If your religious worldview is based on lying to others, you need to be banned from public office. You should be banned from any kind of public service. Literally anyone who does business with you is a moron because it is baked into your soul that you will lie to get what you want. And I don't want to deal with you. So in any business transaction, I think that, maybe we should all on this call, and anyone who is in with the sound of my voice, we should all agree we will never deal with anyone who has a world philosophy that they are allowed to lie to other people. That means no Muslim, no Jew, and no Satanist. So we just ruled out the big three right there. That's the big three. It's not, Christianity's not in the big three, by the way. That's the big three. Jews, Islam, Satanists. You're the big three because you all serve the same God, apparently. And you all have lying and cheating and stealing as a part of your ethic for the world. Why do we deal with this? Why do we deal with this at all? I don't understand. I'm done. Makes me sick. Sick. All right. Let's do another topic. Let's move on because this one will get stale real quick, on me at least. It's so upset about this stupid stuff. Stupid people. Stupid people with stupid beliefs. All right, let me fix this. Title 40, blah, blah. Okay. So Patriot, you asked this. This won't be long, but you asked how to properly observe the Sabbath. I have to ask, like, as a what? Like, what's your belief system? What kind of religion do you follow? How to properly observe the Sabbath if you're a Jew? Well, let's take that and deconstruct it a little bit. If you're an ancient Jew, before, I don't know, when were the Jews ever in right standing with God, ever in covenant with God? Were they? I don't know. But early on, let's say they were, after Moses brought the tablets down, smashed them, and maybe, did he go back and get more? I can't remember now. So yeah, he went back and got more new tablets because they screwed up right away. But anyway, let's say that was the time when Israelites were in covenant with God. They should have been observing Sabbath on the seventh day of the week. And they should have observed it by not doing any work and not doing lots of different things. They had all sorts of rules they wrote into this. But the Sabbath should have been observed to understand God's plan for the world. He did the 7 days of creation based on the same thing. So the seventh was the day of rest. It was to acknowledge that God was taking care of things and he would rest. And in the same like manner, we should rest as well, or they should. That was their covenant with God. So in that time period, Israel obviously was supposed to hold that Sabbath practice and not do any work, etc. Now, if you're talking about modern day Israelis, modern day Jews or Israelis, or people that call themselves such, then the reality is they do not need to observe the Sabbath. Why? Because the Sabbath period of history that they were observing to forecast is over with. The Sabbath period of history was finished probably 500 years ago, according to the way I understand the chronology of God's prophecies. 500 years ago was the end of the 7,000 years. And so the modern day Jews have no right to practice the Sabbath at all either. No right. God had already said long ago in the Old Testament, I hate your new moons and your Sabbaths. I hate them. Do you think if God says, I hate them, that you're really supposed to continue, observing them? Now so that's all for the Jews and Israelites. That's not even us. What about Christians? What about Christians? Well, according to the earliest Christians, the Sabbath was one of those Jewish practices that went away with them in 70 AD. They were destroyed, temple destroyed. All those practices should have stopped. The early Christians also repeated the same verses I'm talking about in the Old Testament that say that there's no need. The new moons and the Sabbaths were defunct. They were messed up. They screwed up already. And so the Christians didn't take on Jewish practices. So I think that, to be honest, for the answer to your question, Patriot, how should we observe the Sabbath? We shouldn't. The Sabbath was not ever for us. Unless you like it, unless you want to just, rest on Saturdays, which is fine. Rest on Saturdays. I don't care. Neither does God. That's the point. He doesn't care if you rest on Saturday. But he says, I think even in the Bible, it's like, why don't you do good? When Jesus went and did good on the Sabbath and the Pharisees came after him, he said, wait, why can't you do good on the Sabbath? Maybe that's the new rule of Christ. That's the command of Christ. Do good. You don't have to do the Sabbath, but do good. So, to me, that's the thing. That's the thing now. Now, if we're talking about non-Christians, just to try to get all people groups here, non-Christian pagans, non-Jews, non-Christians in the current era, there's obviously no reason for them to observe the Sabbath whatsoever. There's no Sabbath for them. That never was. The Sabbath is not for them. So that should answer the question, Patriot. Reality Witness, thank you so much for the gift there. That's very uplifting for me. Thank you. And you're welcome for trying to speak the truth. I hope it, it can get out there. I hope more people will be bolder to speak the truth. That's all I can say. I think that's the point. We want just to be bolder in doing so, right? So I guess if I feel like I can be bolder in it here, and you guys see it and others see it, and then maybe we can all be a little more bold about it. Yeah, Red Raven, you're right. The Islamic doctrine says that they can use deception to force their religious beliefs and protect themselves from persecution. That is absolutely true, Red Raven. So I just want to make sure that everybody does understand that I'm not just calling out Islam for no reason. That's literally part of their doctrine. So yeah, Rick, it's something I heard about actually in the last couple of years, that's true. So I don't know. That's interesting to me that those religions all have that as part of their religion. Like it's baked into their beliefs. Why is it that those religions have that baked into their beliefs, that they can lie? I don't know. It's crazy. All right. What's the next topic? Patriot, you also asked about Psalm 96:13. Let's do that real fast. I don't think it'll be long. And let's see here, there, this here. Psalm 96:13. So let me open it up and go to it. Thank you, Grok, for answering our questions about the Goyim. Thank you. Oh, not here. I want to go over here. Let's go here. Search Psalm 96. All right. You said 13, I believe. Before the Lord, for he comes to judge the earth. He shall judge the world with righteousness and the people with his truth. Yeah. I mean, you asked if it was about the great white throne judgment. Absolutely it is. It's absolutely about the great white throne judgment. I mean, say among the heathen that the Lord reigns. He shall judge the people righteously. He shall judge everyone. The world will be established and it will not be moved. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty before him, strength and beauty in his sanctuary. I mean, yeah, so of course the judgment of the righteous, of the world, he shall judge the world with the righteous, right? So the righteous, as we know from our understanding and studies on the great white throne judgment, the righteous will be by Christ's side on the throne given to him by God the Father, and he will judge the world with the righteous by his side. And the people with his truth. I wonder there if the people is talking about, if this is some Israelite reference, Israel reference, I don't know for sure. But overall, if it's just general, then it's just, he will judge people with truth. It will be just. It will be justice. And again, where did we read this recently, guys? That justice is our reward. It's the reward of the righteous to see the justice that God metes out on the wicked. It's the reward for us. I think it might have been the second apocalypse of John that we read that in. But it is our reward to see it in the end. We won't see it in this life, probably, but we will see it at the end. That's our reward. So, all of us, we yearn, we pine for justice in the earth, human justice, but in reality, the only true justice in the end will come from the Father, right? The only true justice in the end will come from God at that judgment, the great white throne judgment. So maybe that's the way to think about that. So yes, Psalms 96:13, I believe Patriot is talking about the great white throne. I do believe that. Looking up for him, you say, let me make sure I understand what you guys are talking about. Let me take that title off. I think you guys are talking about something different. You say deception is always wrong. However, David used deception and God did not punish him for it. Lies are unfortunately part of our fall from Eden. Well, looking up for him, I agree with that in some sense. But I guess what I'm talking about is not like every once in a while someone using a white lie or tricking the bad guy. But I am saying that in every way, let's just go back to the Jewish belief system. In every way, if they are in business with doing, if you go to a place that sells widgets and it is owned by a Jewish person, but they see you come in and you are obviously Anglo-Saxon or a black person or a Chinese person, to you, as soon as you walk through the door and they see you, they think that's an animal. So I can treat them like an animal. I can lie to them. I can deceive them. So as soon as you come up with an item, and let's say it's a pawn shop and things aren't labeled. What's the price for this item? He's going to tell you double what it is, what it should be. He'll charge you double. And then when a Jewish person comes in and gets the same item and comes up next to you, he'll say, oh, it's half that. And then you'll be like, why? Because that's the price. He'll lie to you. He'll say, that's the true price, but this one is the last one. It's damaged. He'll lie to you. He'll lie to you because you are an animal. Now, it's baked into the religion. The Satanists, it's the same way. I don't know why I don't know why I'm having to explain this, but Satanists, they literally are taught that they should lie to every Christian, particularly to Christians. They should tell you all sorts of lies. When you go to a Satanist church, they say that you're welcome. Even as a Christian, you can believe whatever you want to believe. But the reality is they want you to believe, they're lying to you. They want you to believe in Satan. They get you in the door, and then they, of course, will lead you down the path to Satan because they hate you. It's baked into their religion and their belief system. So I guess I just don't, yeah, the little, white lies that David told, that's not what I'm talking about. That's different. That's not the same. I know it seems the same because any lie is a lie, right? But it's not. When your whole worldview is based on that you are to deceive and to degrade others at every turn, then it is a problem. It is a problem. Okay, that's the problem. So, I don't know. Patriot, you say you do have a question though. Now, we all thought the little season was ending yesterday, so what happens now? Well, who thought that the little season was ending yesterday? Who thought that? I didn't know anyone thought that. Did you think that, Patriot? That the little season was ending yesterday? I never said that. I hope you didn't hear that from me. No, nobody believed. I don't know anybody that believed that, but maybe there are a lot of people out there that did. I don't know. No, why would the little season end yesterday? The little season ends, listen to me, the little season ends when Antichrist shows up and then God destroys him. Christ destroys him with the brightness of his coming. That's when the little season ends. Don't listen to people out there. Don't listen to all that stuff online, man. Don't listen to anyone telling you the little season just ended. I'm sure, though, they probably told you that, Trump was the Antichrist, and so because he came already, now the little season can end because Trump's the Antichrist? Whatever. Whatever. West Wind, you say some people say that Satan was unleashed in 1776. Yeah, some do say that, don't they? They say that. Why do people say stupid things? Why do people say dumb things? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say anymore, guys. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but some of those things are just way off. Just way off. Oh gosh. Patriot, you thought that some stuff you were looking at, you thought that it might have been yesterday, but you're a little upset that it didn't happen. Well, I mean, I'm upset every day that I'm not with God in heaven, right? So I understand that. It's no big deal. I just I hope that Terry Barnes. So you've seen the Abraham Lincoln versus the Vampires movie? You've seen that? I think I had someone try to show that movie to me once, and I got about 5 minutes in. I'm like, I'm not watching this. This is dumb. That's so funny. So funny. Yeah, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I just think it's silly to think that some of these biblical things are going to happen without other biblical markers that go along with them. There's a lot of biblical markers for those things, and I just don't think that the people out there that are apparently pushing these ideas, they're not aware, apparently. They just don't know. So if we listen to them, we're going to be confused all the time. What else? Anything else? Yeah, Trey's Dojo, you guys were just like looking at the 250-year thing as a quarter of 1,000, and so you understand where the thoughts kind of came from. I guess. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't see anything in biblical prophecy that really divides anything up into like 250 years each. There's nothing I've seen in biblical prophecy that really points to that kind of a time frame. So the 250 doesn't, I think, ring a bell with anything at all in scriptures or any of the any of the writings I've read. So I'll mention that. That's all. Okay. All right. I think, Terry, you're correct. Our eyes should be on Christ. I mean, we need to stay close to him, not worry too much about things. I think we need to be aware of things, but I think some of the people out there that are on, I don't know where they are, because I'm not on TikTok, I'm not on Instagram. I know that a family member of mine has been looking at Instagram lately and says that there's a lot of disinformation on Instagram. Like, it's really bad right now. You don't know what's what. AI is getting used like crazy. You can't tell anything. Like, Instagram is a mess from what I've heard, but that's just what I've been hearing. Real McCoy, you ask, have I ever seen Beyond the Veil? Some of the things that he talks about is crazy, but he proves most of it to be true. His name is Dustin Beyond the Veil. I don't know anything about Dustin. I don't know anything about that. I wish I hadn't read the comment, because I don't want to promote someone I don't know anything about. Anyway, Terry, you say 250 is 5 Omares. Well, I'll take that as a note. Like, maybe I need to learn about Omares. Maybe I need to learn about Omars. All right, let's go on to another topic. Let's do this. This is an interesting topic. Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, so let's do this. The numbers 36 or 36 and 9 from Tesla. That's what we want to talk about. This was from the Real McCoy. So I know that Tesla mentioned the 3, 6, and 9. Let me see if I can find anything out about it. Tesla 3, 6, 9 numbers. Let's look. Tesla sequence. Oh. Now, I will caveat real quick with that. I don't know if I trust any of this stuff. Okay, so, and it's not that I don't believe things about Tesla. He was obviously an incredibly brilliant mind. He did things and experimented with things, obviously, that were out of the box, were the correct way that things should have been explored. Things like electricity, things like current, things like the atmosphere, the earth, the way it works. He knew a lot of things and went the direction that he should have gone and followed the information rather than following the money, right? So it's obvious that Tesla knew a lot of great things. But I'll mention here, like, this is what I'm trying to say. I don't know that I trust the sources giving me this information. So when I search DuckDuckGo, and it brings back an AI-assisted answer that says that Tesla believed the numbers 3, 6, 9 held special significance and were a key to understanding the universe. He is famously quoted saying, "If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe," reflecting his fascination with these numbers' mathematical and mystical properties. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so if this is a true quote, which I have no way to verify at this moment, maybe if I go to the Medium link. Medium is a hot, smelly piece of trash liberal rag. Medium is terrible in most regards. Now, the power of 6, 3, 6, and 9, according to Tesla. I can't even read the article because I have to pay or sign up. I'm not signing up on Medium. I'm not. And it's by a guy named Muhammad Yunus. Okay, great. I don't care. So that's the problem, is like, do I have a writing of Tesla's that has this information in it? I do not personally. I've not found that. Maybe that exists and I just don't have it. I don't know. Where do any of these articles get their information? This is why right now it's so hard to find out information online. It's so hard to find good stuff. This article talks about the 369 theory, if that's what you should call it. Is it possible, it asks here, does the 369 theory of the universe hold water? What theory? What theory? I haven't even read a theory. He just said it was a key to something. That's all he said. 369 was important. It's a key to something. So whoop-de-doo. Okay, he said it could hold the key to some aspect of the universe. That's what the quote said, if the quote's right. So I don't know what to say. This is giving me now a bunch of information about Tesla that I have no way to verify. How do I verify this? There's no reference material on this article. There's 0 references on this article. But hey, buy a t-shirt today, or buy a bust, a Nikola Tesla statue, or buy, a coffee mug. So I don't know how to verify this information, guys. Do you? Do any of you guys? See, Trey's Dojo, like you're saying, you think you don't know about Tesla. You think he might have been a made-up character, and all his work was a compilation of other people's work. I don't know that. I think he was real. I mean, we got pictures of the guy, right? I mean, there's literal newspapers with photographs and articles about him out there. That's real. So, I mean, maybe they could fabricate all that. I think he was a real dude. But right now, in the current climate, I don't know where to get the truth about this guy unless I found some of his writings. Do I have... Let's see. I think I have... I might have some of his journal. Okay, so let me see if I can find this. Nikola Tesla. Let's go, Nikolai. What do I have on Tesla? I've got lots of pictures. What do I have? Nikola Tesla. What is this? Let me just open this up and see what it shows me. Here's a PDF. What is this? This is probably a declassified document from either the CIA or something that mentions Tesla. Oh, this mentions George Van Tassel. That's interesting because he was doing all sorts of like time-based research where they could time travel, essentially. That's an interesting thing too. Okay, here, the space people have visited the Tesla engineers many times and have told us that Tesla was a Venusian and brought to this planet as a baby in 1856 and left with Mr. and Mrs. Tesla in a remote mountain province in what is now Yugoslavia. So do you believe this? I don't know. But that's what this document, whatever it is, Interplanetary Session Newsletter, June 14th, 1950 something? 57? What is this? This, I don't know. I don't know what this is. Where does this come from? All information is contained is unclassified. Date 1982. So I don't know. This is an interesting document. I don't know how to trust that statement. It was a third-hand statement. Someone saying that other people said that Tesla was a Venusian. Okay, so I don't know how to take that. It has nothing to do with Tesla's studies. Statements made to Fitzgerald. Tesla knows that the complete plan, specifications, and explanation of the 3 basic theories of these things, a revolutionary type of torpedo that it says here. What else? Revolutionary type of torpedo not presently in use by any of the nations. So I don't know if this is a good document or not, but I did save it just so I could see what was in it. This is a large, actually, maybe compilation of documents. This one is supposedly Federal Bureau of Investigation. But again, guys, I won't go through all of these documents, but the hard part is knowing what can be trusted. That's the same document. It's clipped from the same document. No, there's things like this. Did Nikola Tesla really say this? I don't know. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the world. That's a good statement. All of my investigation seems to point to the conclusion that they are small particles, each carrying a small charge, so we are justified in calling them neutrons. They move with the great velocity exceeding that of light. Is that actually from Tesla? I don't know. There's no way to know. So it's hard. It's hard to find out real information. Here's the FBI vault on Nikola Tesla. What do I have here? That's what I was reading from. So I have 3 documents here that might be good documents. I don't know for sure. Tesla pages 1 through 294, 249. Freedom of Information release on Nikola Tesla. Federal Bureau of Investigation. So, you know, I'm sure there's some interesting things said in here. If, as the author states, the teleforce has been perfected by Nikola Tesla, it would be a measure of foresightedness to ensure his constant guarding against his being molested, possibly kidnapped and tortured by alien enemies for the purpose of seizing the secret of such an invaluable instrument of war and or defense. Now, alien enemies here, we have no reason to think that means aliens. It probably means foreign enemies. Alien meaning not of America. So I'm sure all the UFOologists out there will say that this is about aliens, but I don't think it is. Here's some New York Times article about Nikola Tesla in 1940. Death ray for planes. Nikola Tesla, one of the truly great inventors, says that he stands ready to divulge to the United States government the secret of his teleforce, which he said airplane motors would be melted at a distance of 250 miles, a death ray, so to speak, so that an invisible Chinese wall of defense would be built around the country against any attempted attack by an enemy air force, no matter how large. So this was written apparently in the New York Times in 1940. I mean, that there is literally, he had a device, a teleforce method of energy generation that would essentially amount to a death ray, as this article's author says. So that's one thing that I can point to and say, that looks like pretty good evidence. That's pretty good. What else? So I have hundreds of pages of this stuff, guys, hundreds of pages. So other than looking through this and really studying, I don't know. I don't know for sure how all of it is. How reliable is it? How good is it? I don't know. Chrissy, you say that Tesla wrote an essay about the ideal religion being Christianity, though he never made a claim to be a Christian. Right. I mean, I think that back when I was really looking at Tesla, I did find some things that made it sound like that he had, in dreams and visions, he had spoken to other entities. I would call them angelic entities, but he didn't call them angels. He called them something else. I can't remember if it was like Venusians or some kind of entity from another world. But I do know that I felt pretty confident that Tesla had interacted with some kind of beings, interdimensional type beings. But I don't have any proof to show you. So that to me is not very useful to you, right? Patriot, Tesla has been your celebrity crush since you were 11 years old. Well, Tesla is an amazing person. Amazing person. Trace, you said Tesla had no kids, no wife, and supposedly died a virgin with no offspring. I don't know if he was that popular and a worldly man, then I have to question his existence. I see, sir. I see. I do believe that in past times, though, Trace, that people in general were not so, how should I say this gingerly, addicted to sex, that they could live an existence without having sex. So I don't think that that was true in other times. That's only been something, an idea that's perpetrated on us in our present modern day because, to be honest and frank, let's go back to our original topics today. The Jews want you to be mind obsessed, want all of us to be mind obsessed with sex so that we can't ever get anything done like Tesla did. They don't want that to happen again. The man almost invented free energy as far as we know. He invented some incredible things. So, yeah, the Jews would definitely have all the animals of the world just be so enamored and obsessed with physical pleasure that they can't ever get anything done, can't get themselves unstuck from the rat trap that we are placed in, right? The maze that we are placed in for our lives. So anyway, there I go again. There I go again. Let's do our last topics. Let's go to our topics. Terry, you mentioned the I don't think I'm going to be able to answer your question, Terry. I don't know if I'll be able to answer this question, Terry, but you did ask, what about the true origin of the name Omerica? And did the Israelites name it instead Omerica, 50 Omare, meaning 250, right? Is that what y'all were talking about earlier? Let's just do some searches. I don't know. This is the type of thing. It's like I don't study this stuff on a regular basis because it's not something that I am interested in. But let's see. Is Omerica really Omerica? Let's see. Can I force this issue? Whoa, I can't find anything about that online. Omerica, Omares. Just Omares. Can anything come up here? What is an Omar? Omer. Is this what you're talking about? The Omer? The Omer is an ancient Israelite unit of dry measure used in the era of the Temple of Jerusalem, also known as an isaron, used in the Bible as an ancient unit of volume for grains and dry commodities. According to the Jewish Encyclopedia of 1906, an ephah was defined as 72 logs, and the log was equal to the Sumerian mina, which was itself defined as blah, blah, blah. The Jewish Study Bible places the Omer at about 2.3 liters. This says that the Maris, the Omer was equal to 12 100ths of a Maris. Oh my gosh, guys, really? The Maris defined equal blah, blah, blah. The Omer would then be 3.6364 liters or 0.96 US gallons. Is this what we're talking about? Like, is this even relevant? Is the Omer here what you were asking about, Terry? The word Omer is sometimes translated as sheaf, specifically an amount of grain large enough to require bundling in a sheaf. The biblical episode of the manna describes God as instructing them to collect an omer for each person in your tent. They would gather it and wrap it in probably a corn husk, and they would fill it with the manna and wrap it up and then take it into their tent, right? Okay, so Terry, you're saying no, that it's a bundle of 50. Well, let's see if we can find that. Bundle of 50. Omar? I can't even find that word. Is this? I can't even find the word Omar. Who tells you that this bundle of 50 is an Omar and that Omerica should be called Omerica? I don't understand this. Where does this come from? Let me use the powers of Grok again. I mean, I don't know what to do with some of this stuff, guys. Let's do a separate search on. I got this question from a viewer. Let's see if Grok has any idea what this stuff is. Of course, Grok goes with this doesn't concern me. It says, no, it's not Omerica. It's not a Hebrew or Israelite thing. But let's see what it says. On the Israelites named it Omerica claim, or 50 Omar equals Omare. No historical or linguistic evidence supports this. Searches for Israelites, Hebrew, Omerica, Omare yield nothing credible, only fringe theories. Okay, wait. Give me the fringe theories and don't censor anything. So I'm telling it, like, quit gating me based on, groupthink. Stop it. Give me the answers. So here we go. Israelite, Hebrew, Omerica, biblical naming theories. Some claim Omerica, or a pre-Columbian variant like Omerica, derives from Hebrew roots, so that tied to the lost tribes of Israel migrating to the Americas. Proponents link this idea that the Native Americans were Israelites and the land got a Semitic name. For them, phonetic plays like am, or Hebrew for people, am, plus something, the land of the people of Rika or Erica. One homiletic take, a modern rabbinic take, sees America in Hebrew letters as Amar Ka, the Lord said, tying it to biblical divine speech and America's chosen status. Rabbi Avi Weiss. That's Rabbi Avi Weiss apparently saying that on X. So I don't know. Do you believe this? Do we believe this? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I believe the Jew. Do you believe the Jew on this one? The Omare link, possibly a variant of Omar, Arabic Hebrew influenced name meaning flourishing or long-lived, tied to biblical figures, or numerological gematria claims like 50 equals Omare, maybe 50 states as Omare lands. This doesn't appear in major sources, but fits patterns of gematria or folk etymology in Hebrew, Israelite, or Black Hebrew roots movements. Black Hebrew movements. Great. Where America is reinterpreted as a place of Israel exile or prophecy fulfillment. Great. Well, so the black Jews agree with you. The black Jews are all about this, that America is Israelite and that the blacks should inherit Israel because they are the original Israelites. So the black Hebrew guys that sit on street corners in New York City and yell at you and intimidate white people, they are there because they think they have rights to this land. Because they think, the black Hebrews think they are the original Jews, the blacks, and that the blacks should all inherit America. So that's possibly part of where this came from. I would bet you a bunch of money. I'd bet you $50. That's where this idea came from. All right, one more. The Lost Tribes connection. 15th to 19th century writers argued that natives descended from the 10 tribes exiled by Assyria, and they reached America via the Bering Strait, bringing Hebrew customs and language. Thus, the continent's name could preserve a hidden Israelite designation, according to these people. This influenced early Mormon views in some modern groups. Critics called it improbable, citing timelines and lack of evidence. Well, I mean, it would at least be interesting to see what these writers said, 15th to 19th century writers. that argued this. That would be interesting to learn more about, but I don't know. For curious, I hate to say it, but that statement that you just made, saying the word Indian means in Dios, meaning of God, that's silly. That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. I mean, God, jeez, guys. Red Raven, you want to go with the Vikings for 500? All right, let's read the Viking part. Pre-Columbian Norse explorers Leif Erikson called the land Omerica, farthest outland, which in his language means farthest outland, not Hebrew and not Semitic language, in Norse. Or Amterik, district of Erik. This is all in Norse. So English and French sailors might have heard it as America? I don't know, guys. We're getting some dumb stuff. This is something. I don't know. Ties into Viking discovery claims predating Columbus. Of course the Vikings came over before Columbus. Why does everyone think Columbus discovered America? It's not even half true. We know that's not true. I mean, of course Vikings came over. We have some evidence that Phoenicians came over. Phoenicians were the best sailors of the ancient world, and it's obvious they probably came over. I don't know why this is like, oh, we found out the secret. The Phoenicians came over. Oh no, who cares? They came over, so what? Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't want to read any more of this. Yeah, I don't want to read any more of that. Trey's Dojo, you say you won't be intimidated by racism, not from any color skin. Well, if you're saying I was racist, I'm not racist. I just don't think that the blacks were the original Hebrews. So that's nonsense. So, I mean, if Trey's like, I mean, I don't know what skin color you are. I don't really care. But just so you are aware, I wasn't being racist in any way. But the idea, like that'd be like me as a white Anglo-Saxon claiming I'm the Jews. The blacks were not the Jews. Sorry. Don't want to break it to you, but the black peoples were never Jews. Except the ones that adopted Judaism, like the Ethiopians. The black people were not the original Jews. Sorry. That's not how it was. It's not how history rolls. You can't make up history. So. But Trey's earlier, you said you also hear America is land of the plumed serpent. I don't know, just know I was born here and live here. Yeah, well, I've heard the plumed serpent stuff too, but that was a Mayan culture, right? The plumed serpent was all over Mayan culture. So I think people just want something fantastic to be true, so that they find this stuff and it's like, I don't know, there's some need for us to feel like we've discovered a secret that's been hidden from us. There are secrets that have been hidden from us, but the reality is we're discovering them. We're understanding more than ever before because we aren't trusting the people who are lying. That's the moral of the story. Let me turn off the title now. That's the moral of the story. We have lost trust in all the liars. So maybe we are allowing ourselves a little freedom here in our exploratory thinking, maybe to a point where some of us are going a little like we're on the edge, right? And it's because we've been lied to for so long. But that doesn't mean that untruths are true just because they sound fantastic, right? We have to be super careful and guarded in this moment as well. Number one, we can discover a lot of good things about our reality now, because a lot of the veil has been pulled back. A lot of the people have been exposed. I was reading last night. I was reading, what was the name of the writing? Okay, Trey's Dojo. I saw you there. You say you're calling them racist. Yeah. Well, I think it's just silliness. I don't think I guess they are being racist, but the claim alone that black people are the original Jews is not necessarily a racist claim. It's just wrong. It's just incorrect. So I don't know what to say to people about that. But I was reading, let's see here. I gotta find my, let's see. I just can't remember the name of the book or collection of writings called Thresholds of Tomorrow by William Dudley Pelley. I was reading this. I just, the other day, I was looking for something like going through my half-finished work. You know, I have a lot of research that I'll start sometimes and I don't finish it. This was one where I had read about a part way through this book of William Dudley Pelley's, and I was reading about it, but he says, now, he's a little out there, I will admit. Pelley, his writing is a little out there. It's feels a little new agey, but I do believe he had some experiences with angels and was speaking to some spiritual beings about some of the information he got and then wrote down. And then, of course, the government got a hold of him and put him in jail and prison, and he died. But he was saying in 1951 that the world had to come to this place where the evil people of the world would be exposed. He said this in 1951. He used the words Great Awakening, by the way. Very interesting guy. And said that the world had to come to this place where the evil people would be exposed and that normal people started to understand who they were. They would come out in the open, and this would allow people to discover all the different things that they had hidden from them for so long, and he called it an awakening. In 1951, it's crazy, just some of the things he wrote about. But that's what I think is happening, and in this exposure, I think some of us, we just like, it's mind-blowing. We're going crazy lengths to try to figure out what is happening, what have we missed. You know, that's the key, is what have we been lied to about? What is out there that we should know about, but we don't know about? And in that search, I think we can easily go off the rails if we don't temper ourselves a little bit. Temper ourselves with, well, how can I trust the evidence I'm being given? If I'm looking at this person online who shows me in a 30-second post some crazy outlandish claim about America or something else, how can I verify that? How can I validate that? Not just because words sound like this or they sound like that, like Indians being in Dios or America being Omer and somehow relating to the Israelites. I didn't even see in my looking there that Omer amounted to 50. I don't even know where that comes from. But again, it's like, we don't need to reach to those links without verification. So that's why, you know, not on this live stream, obviously, but on most of my research videos, I am showing you the stuff from the writings that were from hundreds and hundreds or thousands of years ago. And I think that we have to ground ourselves like that. We have to be grounded enough to say, well, I heard this thing, and it's fantastic sounding, but I just don't know if I can trust what's being said without more evidence, more real evidence, more writing, more photography evidence, more evidence that is not falsifiable, more evidence that will stand up to scrutiny, right? And so that's what I think is important for us in this time period. Now, hopefully, there will be some things revealed during this time period that will help us a little bit. and we won't have to ask the questions. We won't have to dig so hard. But really, if we don't dig any harder for the answers that we get, and we don't scrutinize, and we're not analytical, and we're not careful with evidence, then we're going to get right back in the same situation that we've always been in, which is we will be deceived again and again and again and again. Because if you aren't willing to go to the mat to figure out where your information's coming from, you will be deceived. You are ripe for deceit. And that's where we've been for the last century and a half in America. Can't speak for the whole world, but at least in America. So I guess I'm like, it's like the Tesla stuff. It's like, what can we trust? Tell me this, guys. Let's do a question and answer. Just tell me this. If I found some original writings from Nikola Tesla, would you like me to read those on the Bible channel, on the Bible Scribe channel? Would you like for me to do that as a part of what Bible Scribe does? If I found some of this crazy information somewhere and I was able to read the sources, would you like me to do that on here? Red Raven says yes. I mean, it's not really Bible Scribe, right? If I'm reading Nikola Tesla, but I mean, I don't know. At this point, it comes up so often now, this stuff, or the writings of Columbus. Columbus has journals, right, from 1492. And you can literally read what Columbus was saying, not what everybody else says, not what Ghislaine Maxwell's father's textbooks taught you in grade school. But you can read what Columbus wrote with his pen. That's something. That's the type of thing that's what we should be doing, right? Trey's Dojo says, oh, yes, but that's to Chrissy. Fastenal, you say, sure. Well, maybe that's what I should do some of whenever I come across a writing and I think it's interesting or it's something like that, it's original source material, then I can just read it on here. And if you guys want to join along, you can join. And if you don't, you can watch it some other time, or I don't know, maybe it's just too important to not do that kind of thing, even though it's not scripture necessarily. It's not Christian writing. It's something that's important. So I don't know. Linda says, keep it God-based. See, that's the problem. Some people want only that, and others want the other. And some want both. And I can't please everybody. Yeah. I think it is important, Red Raven, to learn the truth from deception. Yeah, I think that is important. So I get it. That's why I want to help, because that's my nature. I want to help with that stuff. I like to help with that stuff. Per curious, you say, if Columbus was a psyop, what would his journal reveal? Well, my response to that, per curious, is, well, I don't know. Have you read it? That's why we have no standing to argue any of these things unless we've read the books. Do you see how that works? Like if Columbus's journal is out there and it literally tells us everything about his voyages, and we just decided we didn't want to read them, but then we make claims about his voyages, then what good are we? What good are we as a source of information? We are zero good as a source of information if we do not go to the sources that have the information. But that's what people online are doing right now. It's making me mad as hell. Drew McCoy, you say, yes, please. I mean, Squiffy Bear, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. You say, I'm not sure how we're supposed to know what is trustworthy at this point. Plus, most people just working hard to keep a roof over their families' heads. It's a lot to decipher. Yes. But in my scenario, Squiffy, like literally we have the journals from Columbus and we don't read them but then we make claims. That's not right. I mean, you would agree, I hope. I hope everyone here would agree that if we've got that material available, we should read it and then form opinions, not form all sorts of speculative, nonsense opinions and pretend it doesn't exist, right? But it does exist. We just never read it. It's the worst ever. It's the worst thing ever for people to do that, but people do that. So, Red Raven, you say, if Columbus found the edge, we can continue to argue against the globe. Yeah, maybe he did. I've read a little bit of it, but not a lot. So I do know, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Columbus mentions, of course, all the Muslims' problems that our history books take away from that story. He mentions all the problems with the Muslims. They were raping and pillaging half of Europe at that time. It was horrifying. So that's probably what they don't want us to know about. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I'll do then. I think that what I will do is I will not expend extra energy. I will not take away from Bible Scribe. But if I find things like this that are important for people to hear, people to read, then I may take a lazy Saturday morning and just read some of them. I won't necessarily do a ton of research, but I can just read them on a live stream, and then it's recorded. And that's what we can do, maybe. I mean, so maybe that's what I'll do. But I won't, Linda, to your point, I won't take away from what Bible Scribe is to do that, because Bible Scribe is special. Bible Scribe, what we do here is different than most channels. Well, you suggest making a new channel, Worldly Events. The problem with that is that Bible Scribe doesn't have enough time to do two channels. Not presently. I don't have time. But to have no agenda where I could just bring a writing and read, that is easy to do. Like, we're doing our readings on Tuesday nights. That's a little easier for me because I don't have to prepare a lot, right? So if I just took like Nikola Tesla's writings or something like that, and I just decided, hey, let's just read them, and I just read them, then I don't have to prepare, and it doesn't take a lot of my time. See, that's how that might work. But yeah, Sci-Cry channel. I could release some of that on Sci-Cry channel. I could. Well, cool. I mean, those are all good ideas. Let me think about it a little more too. Let me think about it a little more. Now, did I miss one? I think I missed a topic now that it just crossed my mind. Linda, I think you had a topic. You said you sent me something in email. I don't think I saw it yet. I think I just didn't. I wasn't checking my email yesterday and stuff. And so I apologize if I missed that, but I'll check into it. I may send you an email later on. Okay. All right. Oh, I did it already. Okay, good deal. Thank you, Linda. Well, guys, thank you so much for the time today. I'll stop now. I've ranted and raved today. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Man, we went that long. Holy cow, we went a long time today. I apologize if that was too long for anyone. Maybe maybe someone will come back and have fun watching this through the week. Thank you guys so much for the time. It's good to be with you regardless. All the craziness, it's all fun anyway. But thank you again for the time and the topics. Very interesting topics today. Some of those, like I will say, Chrissy, yours on the two souls teaching from the Tanya in the Tanakh is that was very interesting to me because I did not know, really, I hadn't thought about that they taught that. I didn't know that. It's really good. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining today. Y'all take care of yourselves, and God bless.